Welcome to swarmOS Cockpit. swarmOS Cockpit provides you a comprehensive overview across your project portfolio of all your Agile projects. By simply choosing swarmOS from the main Jira menu after you have installed Cockpit, you can simply launch the Cockpit view, which will appear as a card view. The card view allows you to look at all of your projects at one time. You can sort those projects and make it your personal dashboard to choose the projects you really want to take care of first. You can as well update all of the numbers provided to you by pushing the refresh button, which will provide a more frequent update than swarmOS Cockpit does on its own. By changing to list view, you can have a different view on your projects and comparing those easily, and you see all of the critical KPIs in one screen. You can obviously drag and drop projects here as well to resort them and make it easy to build your own dashboard. Changing back to the card view, you can see that all of your projects have a number of fields and a lot of hover over information on your projects. Everything which appears in red is obviously something you need to watch out for. The first icon we have here is that we show all of the escalations which have been provided to you as a leader from your teams. So if your team escalates a user story, it will be shown up here. If you have missed versions or missed milestones, it will be shown here as well by this red flag over here. If you have chains of high dependencies where Jira issues block each other away, you will have critical chains displayed over here. And if your project has significantly changes of scope, so the teams have dropped scope or the teams have added scope, it will be shown over here. Your capacity is shown here compared to your team's capacity and the backlog you have, and the cost estimate. So you show all of your cost run rates compared to the budget you have defined. By pushing out surveys, which we talked about in Foundation, you can see what the mood of your team is and what the mood of your customer is. We push surveys after every sprint to ask teams and customers about the satisfaction and the capability and the ideas on how to finish the project. By looking one level deeper, you can see that to every KPI we have a more in-depth explanation. So for example, all of your escalations are shown over here. We color code escalations in red, yellow and green. So the red ones are obviously the most important ones which you need to take care as a leader, and you can just click on it and you're straight in Jira on the single item, and you can act with a click with your team to talk to. We can escalate user stories as well from a budget perspective. For example, that you run out of cost or you have a significant cost added to a certain user story. You can escalate those to highlight this to management as well, which would be shown here. Backlog versus capacity shows your team's capacity towards the project end, as well as the open backlog items you still have. And if your team's capacity toward the project end is higher than your backlog right now in story points, it shows that you can actually finish your project within the timeline based on your team's capacity. Same applies for cost. By having defined a certain budget over here and having defined certain cost run rates for your team, you can see that you have actual cost piling up, and you have predicted cost, which leads to the end of the project. And you can see that your predicted cost is only 60% of your budget, including the actual cost. As mentioned before, we have the change of scope. You can see immediately the big changes of scope over here in story points, and you can actually click on it and go straight into Jira to see what story has been added or changed or had been dropped. You can monitor your version and milestones over here. And a red version is a missed version. So you have set an end date for the version, but you actually missed to finish or release. So this will be shown up over here, and all the other versions which are either completed or have time to be completed are in green. Things which get very close to the completion date will be shown in yellow. As mentioned before, we do take service from customers as well as from the teams. On a score from 1 to 10, and you can actually hover over to see that on the last sprint the customer actually rated the project as 9, which is excellent, and the team as such, all the teams rated at 7.9, which is very good as well. You can, on most menus, select even a breakdown by team where it makes sense, and see what the different costs of the teams are, or if you have assigned the backlog towards the teams, you can see what the backlog per team will be, and the capacity by team in regards to their open backlog will be there as well. By looking at the customer and the Swarm lead, you can immediately chat, obviously, and interact. So the interaction with swarmOS Cockpit is just one click away from the Jira item or the person you want to talk to. So you can lead by having all of your information at your fingertips in real time. You can see if your project will be on time, if you have enough capacity, if you stay in budget, if you have any important topics which are escalated to you, you need to act upon to help the team to remove impediments. This is all shown on Cockpit for every single project. And as said, you have a brilliant overview by looking at the card view and see all of your product portfolio. You can actually make trade-off decisions. So you see that your capacity is pretty good in most of the projects, but you have obviously a few cost situations which are red. So that means that your project will run over budget, and you can actually take actions from Cockpit to adjust capacity or adjust costs and take actions immediately from here. By having another look at the list view, you can obviously see which projects are critical and which projects you need to watch out for. So you have 4 projects which have a red item on the capacity. You have a couple of projects with red escalations where you need to take action on to help your teams to remove impediments. And you can see what the customer satisfaction is if customer scores get implemented. So we are pretty excited about Cockpit to get a complete new dimension on leading your Agile project portfolio, to interact with your executive management, because Cockpit for Projects should actually replace all of your executive status presentations by just providing access to your executive team and show them how they can actually get information on your project work. And you can stay within your Agile principles and lead your projects by providing this information through swarmOS Cockpit. As we said, we are pretty excited. We think it's a very valuable tool to lead your project portfolio and manage your project portfolio. Please provide us feedback. We're very interested to get your feedback and make the product even better. Thank you so much.
Agile Business Execution, simplified by swarmOS.